Phillies win it 7-2 and win the first game of this weekend series. Welcome into Phillies Postgame Live, presented by Curado Insurance. Ben Davis, Ashlyn Sullivan here with you. The Phillies started this game a little bit shaky, down 2 runs. You were wondering what was going to happen, but man, they come surging back yet again and end up winning comfortably.
The only thing they did not do in this ball game really was take a lead early, but they were able to come back in that second inning, tie the ball game up on the double by Stubbs, and then go ahead on the RBI by Schwarber. This is a club that really had the game in hand. It just felt like the Cardinals could not do anything. Cristopher Sanchez was awesome. You take away that first inning, there were some balls that were hit extremely hard, but he just figured it out. He got away from the game plan. We heard Stubbs say that. Started going all change-ups and sliders, and he was staying off barrels. He was phenomenal for 6 innings, just 83 pitches. I thought he could have gone out for another one. That's not the way it played out. And then bats, I mean, these guys are just, their approach is so good right now. It's 2 strikes. It's going the opposite way. We saw the first 4 hits of the game were all to the opposite field. It's a great sign for the Phillies offense.
Yes, the Phillies, they are just clicking right now. Let's now go back out to John at Citizens Bank Park. And John, you just heard Ben mention Cristopher Sanchez. This is a guy that's playing really well right now, rebounded after that first inning. His changeup was working, and it looked like he could have even played longer than he did.
Yeah, he probably could have gone out there for another one. You know, we talked to Garrett Stubbs, and Garrett said, you know, with the off day yesterday, get a guy in here and there. And, you know, look, when Alvarado came in the 7th inning, it was 5-2, I believe, at that time. So,
but they're finding ways to get RBIs and runs across the plate.
Yeah, and they're battling, and that's the thing you like. You know, it's just not going up there and you know, aimlessly swinging with runners in scoring position without a game plan. These guys had a game plan. You know, look, give Garrett Stubbs a lot of credit. You know, shooting that ball down the third base line. Didn't hit it hard, but he hit it perfectly. And, you know, scored those 2 runs to tie the game up. And, you know, and Bryson Stott just, you know, his at-bats are just unbelievable. Like 2 strikes, and then he'll foul off 100 pitches and, you know, make the pitcher work. And I think a lot of these guys are now, especially, you know, the way Trey's swinging it, Schwarber's swinging it, the way Bryce has been swinging it. I mean, the lineup is so deep right now. And, you know, when you have a guy in Brandon Marsh that's hitting 7th, and, you know, a lot of times when JT's in there, he'll be hitting 8th. You've got a pretty dang good lineup.
When you look at this box score, everyone is doing their part.
Without a doubt. And the situational hitting was just outstanding. Again, these guys are just, the approach is everything. It's one thing to have an approach, but if you go up there and you kind of change it from pitch to pitch, no, they stayed with the approach. They had a very good idea of what they were going to look for off Miles Michaelis, and they went up there and they scored 5 off of him, tacked on a few more later in the ball game. But again, it's I think these guys really do feed off each other, and the approach is everything. You start to get pull crazy, you start to get out and around the baseball, bad things happen. And believe me, I did it for a lot of years. But these guys were able to stay within themselves, and just if a lot of these pitches that we saw. Okay, if you try and pull these pitches, if you're a right-handed pitcher, you try and pull it outside pitch, you will smother a ball to shortstop or to third base. If you're a left-handed hitter and you get that sinker out away from you, you try and pull it, you will hit a ground ball to second base. You're running back to the dugout saying, why didn't I just let that pitch get deeper in the zone and take it the opposite way? That's what they did tonight. It's very promising, because once this offense gets going, and it has gotten going, I think this is something that can carry them deep into the playoffs, without a doubt, because it is a formidable offense, and you just cannot make mistakes, because these guys are taking advantage of those mistakes right now.
Right, and you mentioned those playoffs. Let's take a look at the wild card standing. It was a big night for the Phillies as the Cubs lost tonight, so that means the Phillies are now 3 clear games ahead in the wild card standings. But we know every game is important. 34 games remain in the regular season, but the Phillies are kind of clicking at the exact right time right now.
They are, and they're again getting a tremendous job with starting pitching. The bullpen has been lights out. They were outstanding tonight. Alvarado was great. Obviously, Hoffman, Bilotti, all these guys are doing their jobs, and they're throwing strikes. They're not walking anybody. And that was the biggest knock on Cristopher Sanchez, and the fact that he went back because he wasn't throwing enough strikes. He was walking everybody. You know how many walks he had tonight in 6 innings? 0. And that is just a good sign. He's challenging these guys. Listen, I'm not going to give in, but I'm also going to make my pitches. I'm going to rely on late movement and execute. And boy, has he done that. He has been a godsend for the Phillies in that 5th spot in the rotation.
Yes, and Cristopher Sanchez walked just 10 of 259 batters since the call-up. It's just impressive how quickly this guy has turned it around.
Yeah, and 12 of his last 13 starts, he's surrendered 3 runs or less. That's remarkable.
It really is.
And again, if you're the quote-unquote 5th starter, he's giving them innings. He's saving the bullpen. He is. I know that record is only 2-3, but he really is putting his team in the best position to win ball games, and that's what he's done. He's just very steady. He believes in himself, and I think he's gaining a lot more confidence with every outing.
Absolutely. So clear the confidence is there. Let's now go back to Citizens Bank Park and hear from manager Rob Thomson.
Sanchez got hit around pretty good in the first inning.
First inning, yeah. It was a lot of hard contact, but credit to him. I mean, this kid has grown up and he's matured. That a couple of years ago, that may have gotten away from him, but he kept pitching. Stubby did a great job with him, leaning on the changeup, keep throwing it until he finds it. His numbers, second time through, third time through, are better than the first time through, I believe. And I think that's just due to the fact that he finds his changeup. He keeps throwing it until he gets it, because it's a weapon. You know, it's a great pitch. And left on left, left on right, doesn't matter. He gets a lot of swings and misses. He gets a lot of soft contact with it. He pitched great. I'm proud of him.
Was there a temptation to let him go out in the 7th?
No, not really. I think he did his job. And we were really talking about taking him out after the 5th, really, because we're coming through the heart of the lineup. But he was going to be on a short leash, but he got right through it. So he did a great job.
What have you thought of Alvarado's first 2 appearances back?
Good. I thought this one was better than the last one. He's not getting the velocity on the cutter until later into the inning, but that'll come. But the velocity on his sinker is 98. It's normal. But for the most part, he's throwing strikes and getting it done.
It is clicking for Bryce Harper, and it is clicking for the Phillies. Let's now go back to Citizens Bank Park and hear from Cristopher Sanchez.
What do you think enabled you to kind of settle in after that first inning tonight?
Sí, que te ayudó a volver a ser tú mismo después de ese primer inning.
El enfoque y estudiar a los bateadores, estaban buscando el sinker y traté de hacer lo contrario.
I noticed they were looking for the sinker, so after studying the hitters and knowing what they wanted, I was able to make that adjustment because I stayed focused in the game.
How much has trusting your changeup been something that's been important the last few weeks?
¿Qué tan importante ha sido en las últimas semanas confiar en tu cambio?
100%.